Hey everyone, so a while back I did my top 20 favorite horror movies, and one of my friends on YouTube and Facebook asked if I would do my top 20 action movies. Now, eventually, this might be revised once I find, some of my other titles that I wanted to put in this countdown, but I am just going to go with what I have at the moment because I don't want to keep it lingering. So go ahead, and in the description I put a link to his channel. Even though he hasn't made any videos in a while, he still comments, and uh, we still interact on Facebook. So I thought I would go ahead and do my top 20 favorite action movies. Man, all these, I really enjoy and has a lot of rewatchability to them. So to start things off, we're going to start off with The Delta Force, starring Chuck Norris and Lee Marvin, two awesome action heroes, especially back in the day. I really love this movie. I mean, it's crazy and over the top. I think at one time they tried to say it was based loosely on a true story or something like that, but I mean, how much I believe into that, I don't know. But it's a really cool action movie from, I believe, the 80s. It's like where people got, I mean, it's been a while since I've watched it, but it's like where uh, like people get kidnapped, and I think it's like in Lebanon or something like that. And Chuck Norris and Lee Marvin, they have to go rescue them. I mean, the main part that I remember is Chuck Norris on the back of a motorcycle shooting missiles at the main bad guy. I mean, I just get a kick out of that every time I see it, especially the music that they play with it. So that is The Delta Force at number 20. Number 19, one of my favorites, and I can watch it over and over again, and that is Stone Cold. And I am so glad that they finally put this on Blu-ray, because for the longest time I know the DVD was out of print, and people were asking for crazy money. I think at one time they was asking like $50, but I'm glad that they finally you know re-released it on Blu-ray. And basically, what this is about is where, like, this cop, played by Brian Bosworth, he's a cop and he goes undercover to, I guess, expose the biker gang, and it's pretty cool. It has shit. Keep forgetting that guy's name. Let's see. I know it has William Forsythe, which I think he's a really cool guy. I mean, he always plays the perfect bad guy. Um, well, damn, they don't even bother. Let's see. Oh, Lance Henriksen. Yeah, duh. Yeah, so the biker gang is led by Lance Henriksen, and William Forsythe plays as his right hand man. And that guy right there, I'm not sure what his name is. Right there, I saw him on Terminator 2. But I mean, it's a really cool ass action flick. If you've never seen it before, you definitely got to check it out. And that's Stone Cold by Brian Bosworth. So that's number 19. Number 18, Predator. I mean, what else can I say about this movie? Except for they need to come out with a better Blu-ray. But, I mean, at least you have decent special features. But, the picture quality from what I hear isn't the greatest. Because I think it's been like DNR'd or some shit like that. But that's Predator. I mean, just so many memorable lines. I mean, the action, like the guy that they had play as the Predator is so damn tall. I think he was like 7 foot tall, and that's even without the damn suit on. Get to the chopper. Which is, one of the more memorable lines from the movie. So that's Predator, number 18. Number 17, Billy Jack. I really like this movie. It was directed, written, and I think starred Tom McLaughlin. Let's see. And his real wife, let's see. Yeah, Dolores Taylor. That lady right there, that's his real wife. It's a really awesome movie. I mean, especially for its time and considering that it was made, this is an independent film and it was made basically on a shoestring budget. And, it made a shit ton of money because for the longest time it was considered as one of the highest grossing independent film. And I just like that one scene. I mean, I like the whole movie, and basically what the movie is about is where there's like this reservation and he's basically the kid's protector. And the movie deals with racism and prejudice and stuff like that, but I mean, it's a really, really good movie. And I remember way back in the dial-up days, he had a website, and he would do chat, and I would get on there just about every time to talk to him and Dolores, so that was pretty cool. So, number 17, Billy Jack. Number 16, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. I know at one time I heard this was George Lucas' least favorite, but it's my favorite of all the Indiana Jones movies. I like how dark it was. I like the kid that was in the Goonies. He's in this. But it's just one of my favorite, action films, action adventure films. Next up, Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. And at one time, I think they was trying to make like a trilogy of this, but the first one didn't do that well. But I really enjoy this movie. It's one of my favorite films, and it's pretty cool. That guy's not even really Asian, but I just really enjoy Remo Williams. And I was glad that Arrow put it out, and then eventually Kino put it out, and there was another release that came out, and I got all three of those because the regular DVD that it came out, was out of print for a good while, and was going for crazy money. So I was glad when they put this out. I mean, it's just a really fun action film. Definitely need to check this out if you haven't. And another favorite, Death Wish 3. This is my favorite out of the Death Wish movies. Of course, stars Charles Bronson. He's judge, jury, and executioner. And the reason why this one is my favorite out of the bunch is because, it's the one that's the most it's like the most like out there. It's crazy, unrealistic, especially one guy taking on all the gang members. But I mean, it just has so many cool lines, and that scene where he shoots that dude with the fucking bazooka was fucking awesome. So definitely my favorite of the Death Wishes, and I remember him from Superman 3. But I mean, just a really awesome, out there, over the top action movie. Definitely an awesome flick. Next up, Big Trouble in Little China. I mean, one of my favorite John Carpenter films. Kurt Russell films. And I think it's funny because, you know, you think he's like the main star, but it's really mostly about him. But I mean, what I like about it is like all the bad guys. Like the main bad guy in this, he sort of reminds me of Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat, and then you have that guy that shoots electricity. He reminds me of Raiden from Mortal Kombat. But just one of my all-time favorite, you know, action films, fantasy film, if you will. John Carpenter film, and it was a little weird knowing that this tanked in the box office because I mean it's such a good ass movie. Um, but yeah, Big Trouble in Little China. So let's see what we got. So 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. So at number 13, Big Trouble in Little China. Next up, Revenge of the Ninja. Now, altogether there's three, but I don't think they're connected. But this is my favorite of the trilogy or whatever. It's about like where a family, you know, they decide to leave Japan because of, you know, crappy things that went on. And they decide to come to the United States because his American friend, you know, convinces him to come, but, you know, come to find out, you know, it was just to help him, you know, move drugs around, and come to find out his buddy is a ninja himself, an evil ninja. And to me, I think Sho Kosugi is like one of the best ninjas out there. I mean, I just like the way his eyes look in the mask. But I mean, such a fun and awesome action flick. So that is Revenge of the Ninja. Next up, one of my favorite action films, newer action films, or newer, older, whatever, is The Raid Redemption. Man, this movie is freaking crazy. I mean, they also show that you don't have to spend $100 million to make a good ass action film. I mean, you know, like they go up to each level of the duplex or whatever, and it keeps getting worse and worse. But man, the fighting, the action, it's just top notch. So that is The Raid Redemption. Another favorite is Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Running Man. And cool thing to know is written by Stephen King, you know, well, based off of the book by Stephen King, even though they took liberties and, you know, it's completely different from, you know, the Stephen King novel. But just one of my favorite, you know, action movies. I mean, hell, Arnold Schwarzenegger's in a lot of my favorite action movies. True Lies. Love this movie. They need to put this out on Blu-ray. I don't know what the hell the holdup is. Maybe it's James Cameron, whatever. But this is an awesome action movie. I really like that scene where that guy's stuck on the missile and Arnold shoots it. I mean, it reminds you off of something like The Roadrunner or some shit. But it's a really top-notch action film. I like it. And Jamie Lee Curtis was hot as hell in that movie. Next up, Desperado, with the movie is done by Robert Rodriguez and stars Antonio Banderas. I mean, this is basically the movie that really got me noticed to Antonio Banderas and to basically like his movies. Just a lot of cool shootouts, and this is a remake of El Mariachi, but I think it's the first time you see him, but such an awesome movie. So that is Desperado. Next up, RoboCop. Love RoboCop. You know, one of my favorites. You know, I like the tone. I like the visuals. I like the humor that's in this, and also too the crazy ass gore that's in this, you know, especially with the part where those guys, they kill Murphy. I mean, that shit is really intense. And it's directed by Paul Verhoeven. It's a really, really good movie. And it's a hell of a lot better than that piece of shit remake that they did. Next up, Captain America, The Winter Soldier. I mean, this is basically one of the best of the Captain America movies. I mean, a lot of action, a lot of fighting, and I thought it was pretty cool. It had George St. Pierre from UFC in this movie as a bad guy. But that is Captain America, The Winter Soldier. Next one up, it has a lot of action in it, but it can also be considered as a horror movie. But I liked it, and it's called The Guest. I mean, it's like one of my favorites. I mean, it's a really crazy movie, but really good. You know, it's like a guy, you know, he comes back, you know, from, I guess, the war, like in Afghanistan or something like that, and he goes to the house of these people and tell them that their son had died, and, you know, he was their friend. So they basically take him in because I guess he didn't have a place to go. And you know, just come to find out, like, you know, the dude is really crazy and starts killing a lot of people and shit. Really good. Definitely got to check that out. Next up, the sequel to one of my favorite action films from Keanu Reeves, John Wick 2. John Wick Chapter 2. I mean, this takes the first one up the next level as far as like action, shoot 'em up, you know. I mean, it's just really good. I mean, hell, if you've seen it, not much more I can say about it, but can't wait till part 3 comes out. And then the next one is John Wick, one of my favorite action films, or newer action film from Keanu Reeves. I mean, he always finds, I don't know, it seems like he always finds something that can help boost his career and keep him, you know, in people's consciousness. You know, like, I mean, you know, one of the action movies that got him, I guess, even more noticed was Speed. And then, you know, he got into The Matrix. So, you know, The Matrix, you know, helped make him popular for a while. And then, you know, John Wick comes along and, you know, it just ups his popularity or whatever. And, you know, a solid action film with a crazy story, you know, a hitman that, you know, decides to come back into it because, you know, a guy's killed his dog. But I mean, it has some really top-notch action films, and I'm glad it didn't have the shaky cam shit. You know, you get to see the action, the fighting, everything. I mean, it's a solid movie. Then next up, you know, a lot of these will be, you know, a no-brainer. Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Definitely one of my favorite, all-time favorite action movies. I mean, and this also, you know, helps, you know, bring the Terminator series up to the next level with, I mean, the crazy special effects, the addition of a new Terminator, which is the T-1000, Arnold being the good guy instead of the bad guy in this, and, you know, just top-notch action scenes, special effects scenes. I mean, it's top notch. I mean, it's just too bad that the other sequels that followed wasn't quite as good as this. And for the number 1 spot, Terminator, the first one. What I like about this, I mean, I love Terminator 2, but what I like about this is it has a good blend of sci-fi, horror, and action. And also, too, what I like about this is the fact that this is, you know, the movie is more of like man versus machine instead of machine versus machine. Like in Terminator 2, it's more man versus machine. But, you know, a solid movie. And I like that one scene where Arnold's in the room and he's basically half rotten, and you can see his eye exposed, and the I don't know whether he was the janitor or if he was just a person that lives in the apartment or whatever. And he's like, "Hey, buddy, you got a dead cat in there or what?" And you see Arnold's, like Terminator vision, tells him what to say and says, "Fuck you, asshole." I mean, there's just so many memorable like one-liners in here and so many memorable scenes. Especially like my favorite scene in here is like the police station massacre. Man, such a crazy ass movie, but really good. Uh, it's basically from James Cameron's Nightmare. I mean, shit, the dude needs to have nightmares more often. But that was my top 20 uh, action movie countdown. My top 20 action movies. And below, I'll leave a link to Casey's channel. And if any of you want to link your top 20 action movies, go ahead and link it in the comments. I want to thank y'all for watching this. Y'all have a great one, and I'll see y'all later.